Buckhouse being challenged by Steve Smith-Eccles and Gallant Royal. Robin Wonder is third. Buckhouse on the stand side. And Gallant Royal being driven into the lead by Steve Smith-Eccles at the last. The two of them in the air together. But it's Buckhouse just in front. But on the far side, Gallant Royal coming at him. On the run-in, Gallant Royal on the far side. Buckhouse coming back at him on the stand side. They're neck and neck with 150 yards to run. It's Buckhouse on the far side. Is Gallant Royal. Buckhouse just as strong though with 50 yards to go. Buckhouse wins it from Gallant Royal and Robin Wonder.
Delius 13-8, Waving Diamonds 5-1. Seskin Bridge is 7s. Buckhouse, that opened at 12-1, is now 8-1, so has come in 4 points in quite a short time. Cardinal Flower 12-1. Golden Friend 14s. Connaught River 20-1. Street Angel and Uncle Scobie 25-1. Miss Love and Sunday Bills with Lena Aged 33-1. On 50-1, Glasgow Central, Sutton Prince, Destiny Bay and Cavalier Servente, and it's 66-1 bar these.
Cardinal Flower looking the pick of the paddock, but then he is a colt, as you can see, looking very colty there, number 3, ridden by John Frankham, and good to see John back in the saddle. He had a really nasty fall at Stratford-on-Avon on Thursday. I was standing at the last fence when he was buried there. He was underneath Cruise Missile's hind legs, and as he struggled to get up, he kicked John all over the place. Luckily, he's been working on his own elbow that was like a football with an ultrasonic machine, and here is the fruits of his labours. He's back here at Cheltenham. Cardinal Flower in the colours of Vicky Yeager, and certainly she looking as pretty as her horse. She was the pick of the paddock as well, I think. But this one you'll be seeing at the Lincoln Handicap. That's where he's heading for in 10 days' time with Edward Hyde on his back, but it's more serious business at the moment. We were able to see him earlier this morning when the mist was just lifting and the sun was coming out here at Cheltenham. He was just having a canter. He's come from Andy Scott's stables way up in Wupperton and just needed this bit of a pipe opener to clear his tubes. But Peter O'Sullivan was able to talk to the connections afterwards.
Andy Scott, you've come a long way with Cardinal Flower. How far is it for you from Alnwick?
It'll be 340 miles.
And I see you have him in the Lincoln with Edward Hyde riding him on the 26th, that is. Very unusual to have a horse like this running at the festival beforehand. What's your plan with him?
Well, I think he'll have enough time to get over the race, you know, the Cheltenham race. He's got 11 days and he enjoys work. He's very, very happy, the horse. I think he should run well here and run well in the Lincoln.
You happy with the ground here?
What I've seen of it, I think it's good ground, and that's what he wants, good ground.
You could see him running well?
I could, mm-hmm.
Taking quite a bit of beating?
I take a lot of beating, I think.
He's a 10-1 shot at the moment and going down to the start with that whole mass of fancied runners. This is the most exciting thing about Cheltenham. There's no sure thing at all. Though they do say the bigger the field, the bigger the certainty, but you can pick out a lot of these and fancy them. Well, Cardinal Flower was very impressive. He beat Skis Double at Doncaster and also beat Great Light on the same course. A very useful horse indeed. John Frankham quite confident. So this, the Waterford Crystal Supreme Novices Hurdle, has gone to the Irish or Irish-trained horses for the last 6 years. And prior to that, back in the 50s, Vincent O'Brien monopolised it, used to win it, in fact, both divisions. It was called the Gloucester Hurdle in those days. And looking back, you know, to 48, Vulgan won it then, and some good horses since. Lescargo won it in 68, and Bula in 70. He went on to win the Champion Hurdle, of course. So a whole host of horses for you to find here. Just a quick word about the one in the white colours there coming towards us. The grey there, this one, you can have a good look at it now because Graham Rowe, who rides this one, I should think is just indulging in his own pleasures by coming here with this one because hasn't really got any chance at all. Silmira, second in a selling hurdle at Stratford at the end of February, and as I say, can't really fancy it. Now the one in the shot there in the blue colours, number 23, 21 rather, Sasha's Song, they're the colours of Lord Vesti, and this one trained by Jeff King. He's one of 2 horses that Jeff has for Lord Vesti, and he came good at Wincanton in November. He's since been 2nd and 3rd, nice sort, probably go on to jump fences later. Steve Knight has the mount here, and as much as I'd like to see Jeff have a win at the festival meeting as a trainer, it's a very competitive race. I can see this one running well, but I think you just have to find a bit to win. Most of the horses looking at the first. In the cross belts going away, the white cross belts near the left of the picture, that's Lana Rye, number 14, right to the left of the picture going away. Lana Rye trained by Stan Mellor in Lambourne, and this one was formerly trained in Northern Ireland by Jeremy Maxwell, who is renowned for producing good young horses. He supplies the Dickinsons with a lot of them. And this horse, in fact, used to run in the colours of Lawrence McSwiggan, a well-known character in the north of Ireland, who certainly isn't averse to putting his few quid down when it was fancied. Well, anyway, they sold him to Stan Mellor, and since then he's run some superb races. But the thing about this horse, he must come late on the scene. The last is too soon. He wants to come halfway up the run-in, so that's quite a task for young Mark Perrett at the festival meeting here, but I'm sure he'll be up to it. Shot of Dermot Brown and Delius in the foreground there. The short price favourite, I thought he'd be a bit more, or the bookies would be more generous than that, but anyway, can't argue with them. And in the stars there, the green with the white stars, 34. Interesting to see the blinkers off this one, Connaught River. He's been a bit of a naughty boy. He won 3 races early in the season, and then he ran out twice on the flat, both on right-handed courses, had the blinkers on, and the aid of Niall Madden and Steve Smith-Eccles, and they got him round a couple of meetings. He ran particularly well last time when third to Wallow Will. That was very good form indeed. Today he's got stable jockey Peter Schoonemore, just napping a little bit there, but he is a colt, so we'll forgive him that, and let's hope that his wayward ways are behind him. Coming towards us, Mark Lowe, young Mark Lowe. He was riding Wealthy. But Delius 13-8, favourite Waving Diamonds 5-1. Seskin Bridge 7-1, running in the colours of His Excellency the President of Ireland, and that is the first time these colours have been seen here at the National Hunt Festival. Buck House 8-1, Mouse Morris's runner Cardinal Flower 10s. That looks a good price, 10-1, 14-1 bar. Number 2 there, an interesting runner, Buck House, as I say, trained by Mouse Morris. I said to Mouse this morning when I saw him galloping on the course, he isn't very big, Mouse. He said, no, but the engine's right. And certainly his form tells us that's so. He's not been out of the first 2 in all 7 of his runs. There, the dark grey in the front of the picture, number 11. Now, he's sure to make the running or be up there, Glasgow Central. He loves to bowl along in front. He's trained by Bill Morgan, ridden by his son Peter. Cardinal Flower now 9s from 10-1. There is Cardinal Flower in the pink. But the grey there loves to bowl along in front, and certainly is quite useful. He's won 3 races this year, formerly trained by Ryan Price. Just going out of shot was Waving Diamonds in the famous Durkin colours. Meanwhile, Seskin Bridge goes out of point to 8-1 from 7s. And we're just looking for the blue cut. There he is. This is Waving Diamonds, and would have really preferred heavier ground. Certainly performed on a good surface last year at Fairyhouse, but his 2 wins recently have been on heavy ground, and he beat Boreen Prince at Thurles. That is very good form indeed. Buckhouse 7s from 8, and riding number 30 there is Willie Mullins. Nice little thing, not in fact unlike Anna Glog's daughter, who used to run in the same colours, although slightly different colour. Most of those we've seen there, the colours of Sheikh Ali Abu Kamsin. Cardinal Flower now 8s from 9, so the Andy Scott cash hardening in on this one now. But just to the right of the picture, the black chevrons on the red colours. Sheikh Ali Abu Kamsin, who will be much in evidence, that's Sutton Prince. And Sutton Prince has been second no less than 5 times this season. But let's see how they bet.
Delius 13-8, Waving Diamonds 5-1, Buckhouse now 7-1, Seskin Bridge is 8, so is Cardinal Flower, Golden Friend 14-1, Connaught River 20-1, on 25-1 Street Angel and Uncle Scobie. Miss Love and Sunday Bills and Lena Ager 33-1, Cavalier Savente, Destiny Bay and Glasgow Central 50s, 66-1 bar.
Just at the back of the field, light green and the black chevron, Sunley Builds, formerly with Gavin Hunter, and a very useful stayer. Goes back to Gavin on Friday, but he's hoping to see him win today. Steve Smith-Eccles has that task. Looks if they're coming in, and the task now for Peter to read this race.
And the 22 runners being called in for the first race of the 1983 festival. Very much on his toes, Waving Diamonds. Went right down the tape, and he's bolted. Waving Diamonds has bolted in the foreground, but happily William Mullins has him under control. He formerly owned this horse, sold him quite recently to Tony Durkin. The very latest betting, Delius, the 13-to-8 favourite, Waving Diamonds, whom we're looking at there, the 5-to-1 second in, Buckhouse 7-to-1, Seskin Bridge 8-to-1, Cardinal Flower on the same mark, and 14-to-1 bar those 5. So the Irish with 3 of the first 5 in the betting in this race, which they won last year with Miller Hill, whom we'll later be seeing in the Champion Hurdle in 81, with Hartstown, who we'll be seeing this time in the Waterford Crystal Stayers race. They won it in 1980 with Slaney Idol, in 79 with Strandfield, 78 with Golden Signet, and 77 with Max Chariot. And now obviously the main home defender, a horse who was himself bred in Thurles, and that is the favourite Delius. They're all back now, and the starter asking them once again, these 22 runners, in the absence of Buck B, to form a line. White flag up, and Roders. And they're away, and Waving Diamonds again jumps off very smartly and leads them, or disputes the lead with Sutton Prince and Glasgow Central and Sunley Bills as they come to the first. At the first, Sunley Bills lands in the lead from Waving Diamonds. The favourites right over on the right of the picture, the dark colours, Delius. Glasgow Central's right up with them, followed by Silmara. Just in behind Silmara is Connaught River with Cathy's Song. Back marker at the moment is Cavalier Saventi. And it's Sunley Bills who's taken a pretty strong hold from Sutton Prince and Glasgow Central. Glasgow Central, the grey, going on marginally now from Sunley Bills. Then another grey, Silmara. Then on the inside is Sutton Prince. Then Waving Diamonds and Destiny Bay and Cathy's Song. And Delius over on the far rail. And all safely over the first flight, swinging left-handed. Glasgow Central in the lead from Sunley Bills, little between these two. Then Silmara. Behind Silmara is Sutton Prince, and then comes Destiny Bay and Waving Diamonds, and then Sasha's Song. Behind Sasha's Song on the outside is Buckhouse, then Connaught River, Delius on the rail, then Tarkogan's Choice. Cavalier Saventi is the back marker. Running downhill, Sunley Bills on the inside of Glasgow Central. These two setting a very fast gallop as they come down towards the next flight, and this will be the third. Sunley Bills on the inside of Glasgow Central. They jump it almost together. Glasgow Central a slightly better jump. They're all safely over it. Cavalier Saventi didn't jump it too well though and lost a bit of ground. And it's Sunley Bills and Glasgow Central still from Silmara. Sutton Prince on the inside. On the outside is Destiny Bay. Then on the inside is Waving Diamonds being tracked by Delius, and then comes Golden Friend, and then also going strongly just in behind the leaders, Cardinal Flower, as they jump the fourth. Sunley Bills on the inside of Glasgow Central. Waving Diamonds, Sutton Prince. On the outside is Destiny Bay, then Silmara, then Golden Friend, then Delius. Just in behind Delius is Sasha's Song, and then Cardinal Flower. Buckhouse towards the outside. Tarkogan's Prince making ground at the fifth of the 8 flights. Sunley Bills landed in the lead there from still in second. Glasgow Central, Waving Diamonds third, Destiny Bay 4, 5 Golden Friend, 6 and 7 Delius and Buckhouse. Then just in behind them comes Seskin Bridge in the presidential colours, making quite significant progress. In behind them Cardinal Flower, John Frankham running down now towards the third last flight, and it's Sunley Bills from Glasgow Central, Waving Diamonds, Destiny Bay, Delius coming there strongly on the stand side. Seskin Bridge improving with Buckhouse also at the third last now. Sunley Bills lands in the lead from Delius on the inside, then Golden Friend, and it's Delius on the inside of Golden Friend, Sunley Bills just in behind them, Buckhouse and Glasgow Central and Waving Diamonds and Seskin Bridge still making ground. This is the second last now. Delius on the inside, Sunley Bills, a mistake there by Golden Friend. Seskin Bridge is still making progress. Buckhouse is very much in contention, rounding the final flight now, and it's Sunley Bills from Buckhouse and the favourite Delius as they come down to the final flight, and Buckhouse for Ireland takes a marginal advantage. Buckhouse with his white face now, showing in the lead at the final flight from Sunley Bills and Delius and Golden Friend. Buckhouse lands in the lead, and it's Buckhouse from Golden Friend and Sunley Bills and Delius as they race into the closing stages. It's Buckhouse from Golden Friend. It looks like another for Ireland in the Waterford Crystal Supreme Novices Hurdle as Buckhouse strides up towards the line to win it from Golden Friend, and at the line Buckhouse is the winner. Golden Friend is second, and third was Sunley Bills, fourth Delius, and behind them came Seskin Bridge and Glasgow Central, and behind him Connaught River, and then Waving Diamonds, and looking right back to the back markers. Ellerin in fact finished last, only just shaded at the line by Cavalier Saventi, and so the result of the Waterford Crystal Supreme Novices Hurdle. First, number 2, Buckhouse, owned by Mrs. Seamus Purcell, trained by Mouse Morris in Ireland and written by Tommy Carmody. Second was number 12, Golden Friend, owned by Mrs. W. Johnson, trained by Homer Scott and written by Mr. Ted Walsh. And third was number 25, the long-time leader Sunley Bills, owned by Bernard Sunley and Sons Limited, trained by Nick Gaisley and written by Steve Smith-Eccles. Fourth was the favourite, number 7, Delius. So number 7 in a row for Ireland in this Waterford Crystal Supreme Novices Hurdle, the opener of the 1983 festival. Here is Buckhouse, and here's how he won it as we review it with Richard Pittman.
And it had been a fair gallop after the initial slow stage going to the first. Coming round the last bend, you can see Sunley Build still in front. He'd been there right from the outset. Buckhouse is with him. This horse I said that wasn't very big, but Mouse said his engine was big enough, and certainly it was. There's Delius on the rails with the pom-pom on his hat. He'd had every chance but came under strong pressure, and Golden Friend looks to be the danger now, looming up in the blue colours on the outside. You can see that Delius is really having nothing to offer now, slightly disappointing, but this little Buckhouse, who's not been out of the first 2 all season in his 8 runs, powering up the hill. Tommy Carmody making a triumphant return to Cheltenham, of course, where he rode so many winners when riding for the Dickinsons, and there's going to be no danger from here on in. So Irish take first and second place here. Well, 7 in a row, as Peter told you. They're certainly making this race their own.
Yes, what an amazing sequence. Sustained by this remarkably consistent game little fella by Royal Buck, out of Slave D by Arctic Slave, the 8-to-1 winner of the opener. Second foal of his dam, who herself never actually saw a race course.
2 lengths and 1.5 lengths.
And the distance is 2 lengths and 1.5 lengths. He hasn't been out of the first 2 in his last 7 outings. He's going to make Ballinacarra a very popular fancy for Ireland tomorrow, having been beaten by him in the Red Mills Trial Hurdle at Goran Park in February. A great comeback for Tommy Carmody. For some while, the Dickinson stable jockey.
Well, we have the starting prices for the first race.
So one of those
Buckhouse at
rare reverses for the Michael Dickinson stable at this Supreme Festival, where races are so hard to win.
33-1. Number 7, Delius, was the 6-4 favourite.
Mouse Morris, the successful trainer, of course, a very successful rider in his time, both amateur and professional. And the starting prices as follows.
First, number 2, Buckhouse, 8-to-1. Second, number 12, Golden Friend, 15 to 1. And third, number 25, Sunday Bills, 33 to 1. First, Buckhouse, 8 to 1. Second, Golden Friend, 15 to 1. And third, Sunday Bills, 33 to 1. The jackpot number was 102.
Quite a severe reverse for the punters in the opener. Delius served up very, very hot indeed as the 6-4 favourite. Over 40 runners at the meeting. The Irish, although their hopes had a setback earlier this morning when, unhappily, it was found last evening, in fact, that Master Donovan, one of this afternoon's principal hopes for the visitors, was lame. He was poulticed last night, poulticed again this morning, seen by the blacksmith, and eventually, after much heart searching by Eddie O'Grady, he decided that although the horse was walking sound, in fairness to him, it would be better to withdraw him from this afternoon's test later. I'm under starter's orders, and there it goes, and they're running. And Tommy Carmody, who won the opener, takes a prominent position immediately on Ballymiles. Ballymiles from Carpenter's Silk and Kilbritton Castle and Bold Yeoman and Cathy's Lad. Cathy's Lad towards the right of the picture, spot the white on his face. Centre is Ballymiles, Bold Yeoman to the left with Kilbritton Castle, and Wingett's is a faller there. Wingett's has fallen at the second, and Cathy's Lad taking him along now from the Tsarevich and Carpenter's Silk and Bold Yeoman and Kilbritton Castle and Boreen Door and Big Brimer and Branding on the inside. Roseau in the back marker at the moment with Twinburn, another in rear. And it's Kilbritton Castle now has come up to join Cathy's Lad, then Bold Yeoman and the Tsarevich, then Ryman and Branding on, and behind them Secret Ballot and Big Brimer and Boreen Door, and then Ballymiles, behind Ballymiles, Bold Agent, Starfen and Twinburn, and then Roseau in, who's the back marker. So as they swing left-handed, Kilbritton Castle, Ryman on the inside is Bold Yeoman, then Cathy's Lad, Carpenter's Silk, mistake there by Big Brimer. Kevin White up after that fall on Wingett's, and very little now between Cathy's Lad on the inside of Bold Yeoman, Kilbritton Castle, and then on the outside Ryman, then Carpenter's Silk just in behind them with the Tsarevich as they jump the fifth, then Branding on and Secret Ballot and Boreen Door. Behind them, Roseau has made a bit of progress with Big Brimer. Then Ballymiles and Bold Agent and Starfen and Twinburn as they come to jump the water. Ryman on the outside of Bold Yeoman, Kilbritton Castle next with Cathy's Lad. These four ahead of the Tsarevich, Branding on the inside, Boreen Door on the outer. This is the first ditch. Twinburn making progress now from the rear. Mistake there by Carpenter's Silk. Ryman in the lead as they come to another plain fence, number 8, and Cathy's Lad has run out. Cathy's Lad has run out at that one. And it's Ryman who's left clear of Bold Yeoman, Kilbritton Castle, then the Tsarevich, then Twinburn making ground on the outside of Big Brimer, then comes Boreen Door and then Branding on, and then comes Bold Agent, the final ditch. Ryman a long way clear as he jumps the final ditch. Kilbritton Castle and Bold Yeoman jump it next, then come the Tsarevich. Behind the Tsarevich is Big Brimer, then Boreen Door, and then Twinburn still making ground. Running downhill now with 3 fences left to jump in the Arkle, and it's Ryman a long way clear of the Tsarevich. Bold Yeoman, Kilbritton Castle, Twinburn. Behind Twinburn is Bold Agent. Coming down now to the third last. Ryman is well clear of the Tsarevich, Twinburn, Kilbritton Castle and Bold Yeoman. Ryman over clear, the Tsarevich jumps it second, Twinburn jumps it third. Bold Agent is a faller there, and Branding on is virtually out of it, a long way behind him. They're coming down now towards the second last fence. Ryman in the lead from the Tsarevich and Twinburn still making ground for Ireland, but Ryman jumps it clear. And Twinburn a faller at the second last. Twin Burner's gone there. He's left Ryman clear of the Tsarevich in second. Kilbritton is next, and then Boreen Door finishing well. But Ryman levelling up to the final fence in the Arkle with a very clear advantage. Ryman and Alan Brown coming to the last fence from the Tsarevich, Kilbritton Castle and Boreen Door. And as they come to the last, Ryman jumps it clear. Then comes the Tsarevich, Boreen Door. Starfen finishing well on the near side, but racing up towards the line. It's Ryman a long way clear of Boreen Door. It's finishing well, but surely can't catch him. It's Ryman a long way clear of Boreen Door second, and as they come to the line, Ryman wins the Arkle, and second is Boreen Door, and third is Tsarevich, and then comes Starfen and Kilbritton Castle. Behind them Rose Owen and Big Brimer, and then came Ballymiles and the disappointing Branding Arn, and behind Branding Arn was Carpenter's Silk, and then Bold Yeoman. And so the result of the Arkle Challenge Trophy: first, number 12, Ryman, owned by Mr. David Slater and Mr. Frank Paget, trained by Peter Easterby and ridden by Alan Brown. Second was number 5, Boreen Door, owned by Mrs. J.G. O'Neill and Mr. J.H. Gunn, trained by Gay Kinnersley and ridden by Anthony Webber. And third was number 15, the Tsarevich, owned by Mrs. C.I. Henty, trained by Nicky Henderson and ridden by Ron Barry. Fourth was number 14, Staff.
This was one of the 5 Irish challengers, Daring Run, who's now at 25 to 1 shot, having started a warm favourite just 12 months ago. Well, his trainer is Peter McCreary.
Peter, well, you're having a third crack with Daring Run. Very unlucky last year, of course, he slipped up. How do you account for his poor running last time, though, in Ireland?
Well, we hope we solved the problem. That we thought it was exhaust from the box. So that might be. We might be only surmising that, but we hope that was the reason. Of course, there's a lot of horses running very indifferently in Ireland, and not alone in Ireland, but my stable too, like horses ran in and out.
Yeah.
The horse that won on Saturday, and he had pulled up a fortnight ago. So it might have been that problem. I don't know, but I hope so.
No hold-ups, and he's eaten up, and everything looks set for today.
How worried are you that he hasn't won since the Champion Hurdle 12 months ago?
Well, not particularly worried. His Sweeps Hurdle form of 8 weeks back was a tremendous run, and with top weight, and that shows that he's on course for Cheltenham, and we're delighted with him anyway.
And since then, of course, he's been rather strongly beaten by Royal Vulcan at Leopardstown.
Yes, it was a slow run race, and I'd ignore that run. You'd have to if he had any hope of winning today. So I would go on a Sweeps Hurdle run.
Some people were worried about his jumping.
No, I wouldn't worry about his jumping. He was just unlucky at Leopardstown that he made a mistake at the second last hurdle. It can happen any horse, and it was just one of those odd mistakes that can happen.
And since then, what have you done with him?
We've given him 2 good workouts on the track, one over hurdles and the other on the flat, and we were delighted.
And here they head now to the final flight of hurdles, and it's Royal Vulcan who's taken up the running. On the inside is Daring Run, and For Auction trying to come out now after them as they come now to the final flight of hurdles, and it is Royal Vulcan who is going to clear this one in front, and he wins it. He must win it now the way he's coming away, and it's Royal Vulcan. In second place is Daring Run. There's a battle for the third with For Auction running on to take the third from Bowling Prince, but Royal Vulcan has...
Migrator on the stand side. Broadsword and Peter Scudamore going strong on the far side. They're going to be in the air together at the last. Migrator and Broadsword, they fly the last together, neck and neck, and stride for stride now on the run-in. Migrator and Richard Lindley. Peter Scudamore fighting back on Broadsword, but 100 yards to go, and Migrator looks the stronger. Broadsword battling on, but Migrator goes away to win it. Migrator the winner at the line from Broadsword in second.
In the colours of Sheikh Ali Abu Khams, in the first colours, this is Gay Brief, ridden by Richard Lindley. The Sheikh has 2 runners in this race, and Gay Brief, trained by Mercy Rymel. He's a brother to the good chaser Gay Chance, who we'll be seeing in action in the Sun Alliance chase, and a winner of 8 of his 10 races over hurdle, including 4 this season. Well, besides winning several other races, he won the Fred Rymel Memorial at Hereford. Well, that was a super thing. Gay Brief is 13-2 4 favourite from 7-1. So, as Richard Lindley takes Gay Brief out, let's have a full show betting.
For Auction, 11-4, Ekbalco 7-2, Royal Vulcan 4-1. Gay Brief is on 13-2 from 7s. Broadsword 12-1, that's going out. Fane Ranger and Daring Run 16-1. Miller Hill and Sulabula 25-1 from 20s. Halin and Seamer 33-1. Migrator 40 to 1. Boreen Prince 66 to 1, same price as Brave Hussar. Donegal Prince is 100 to 1 still. Comedian and Lulav are still the 200 to 1 outsiders.
So they're coming out. There is a parade for this race. Donegal Prince just going out. Ekbalco and the ever-smiling John Joe O'Neill never stops, does he? There's little John Joe, everybody's favourite. Little Jenny Moffat leading the horse up as well. Absolutely devoted to this horse. Her husband with her, Dudley Moffat, who is assistant trainer to Roger Fisher, does a very good job up there too. But there is a parade for this race, and they are being preceded by the master of the North Cotswold, Roy Tacklow. He's nearest to us. He's riding McLeod, and Peter Barker, his kennel huntsman, on Jacob on the far side. Well, aren't they two fine-looking hunters? You'd certainly like to be galloping across the middle of Cheltenham Racecourse on these two. You'd meet the rails and pop it with no bother at all. Turned out impeccably. So, Boreen Prince leading the runners out. Andy McNamara is gelding this by Boreen out of a St. Crispin mare. And Boreen Prince, half-a-length winner of the quite valuable handicap at Leopardstown in October, and a Fairyhouse one in December. Ekbalco for auction, 3 to 1 joint favourites, and it's 4 to 1 bar. Boreen Prince ridden by Boots Madden, and Boots having rather a slow season, but he's picking up now. Brave Hussar who's come good of late. This one ridden by Richard Rowe, and he's certainly improved no end. Not always the most trustworthy of customers. Number 3, Broadsword. Well, this one's taken some stick, and so is his trainer David Nicholson, but I'm a supporter of this fellow, and I think he'll be running on up the hill. A really stiff gallop. Peter Skew in the saddle. Number 4 is Seamer. Jim Old trains this one at Bristol, not very far away, and isn't this horse well? Seamer almost did the splits in his last run when finishing behind Migrator and Broadsword. He'll be closer. Number 5 is Comedian, the pacemaker for Broadsword. And there's another Comedian in the saddle, a great joker in the weighing room, and that is Steve Smith-Eccles. Number 6, Daring Run, big, strong horse this, isn't he? Well, I like him, and so does his trainer, but I wonder if his chance has gone now. He's an 8-year-old. Frank Berry in the saddle. Number 7 is Donegal Prince, winner of the Sweps a year ago, and this one trained by Paul Kellaway. Horse that likes to bowl along in front. You've got to keep him interested, keep everyone snapping at his heels. Then Ekbalco, he's really jumping out of his skin, isn't he? Well, that's the way to have him. This is the big day for Ekbalco, and he's unlucky to be beaten at all this season, having fallen at Newcastle. Fane Ranger from Ireland, a horse that was very fancied for a long, long time, but just went slightly wrong for a while. I remember reading in the press that there was some doubt as to his participation, but lucky to see him back here, or nice to see him back here, trained by Noel Mead, ridden by Tommy Carmody. And there he is for auction, ridden by the amateur Mr. Colin Magnier, and Colin, one of the best. He's certainly good enough, and for auction looks as fit as a flea. Number 11, this is Gay Brief, Richard Lindley. Fine-looking horse, this, from a very good family. In fact, one of his very much older brothers runs later on, Artistic Prince, in the amateur riders race. Number 12, Halin, you've seen him here a few times, haven't you? Very unpredictable, and so anything goes for this fella. Ridden by Steve Jobar, and don't be surprised if you see this one storming up the hill at a long price. Number 13, Lulav, the third of David Nicholson's runners. There's his head lad on the far side. Lynn Burrows, just ensuring that everything goes fine, taking no chances, but Lulav got a lot to do today. 14 is Migrator, in running in the second colours of Sheikh Ali Abu Khams in the white cap. This horse loves fast ground. It may not be fast enough, but it's certainly good enough for him to run well. He beat Broadsword last time out, and that was at Wincanton. Miller Hill, winner here a year ago. Very much on his toes. He beat Ryman on that occasion, but this is a very different thing. This is the hurdling crown. Royal Vulcan, well, his coat just standing on end a little bit, but isn't he proud there? Look at his mane in the wind and his head high. A very proud horse. He's done exceptionally well this season. Much different horse to last year. And 18, last but definitely not loose, Sulabula loves to bowl along in front. The front runners are Sulabula, Migrator, and of course Comedian will be up there. It's going to be fast and furious. Little colt this one, and there is some indication of the popularity of racing at a meeting like this. Well, I should like to be taking half the gate money home with me today. Those stands, they won't be there for too long. Another phase of planning shortly to go underway, and that is the hill. Look at the crowd on the lawn. The stands are full, the lawns are full, and I can tell you that's a pretty awesome sight when you land in front over the last and faced with that lot shouting their head off. It certainly is too much for some horses. So as the runners come down to look at the first, we'll update you with some results.
Cheltenham, the 235. First, number 12, Ryman, 16 to 1. Second, number 5, Boreen Door, 33 to 1. And third, number 15, the Tsarevich, 16 to 1. Now for the tote prices. For a win, £26 exactly. In places, £4.30, £4.60 and £4.20. Straight forecast, £390.46. And the dual forecast, £1,072.90. Sedgefield, the 215. First, number 15, Shuey, 10 to 1. Second, number 11, Pericolo Ludus, 10 to 1. Third, number 4, Gun, 7 to 1. And fourth, number 32, Strathmanor, 25 to 1. And the 250, first, number 22, Newcliffe Connection, 9 to 2. Second, number 12, Great Tarquin, 14 to 1. And third, number 9, Fine Steel, 11 to 8 on favourite. Now some betting from Cheltenham. For Auction and Ekbalco are the joint favourites still, 3 to 1. Royal Vulcan, 4 to 1. Gay Brief, 13 to 2. Broadsword, 12 to 1. Fine Ranger, or Fane Ranger, 14 to 1. A Daring Run, 16s. A gap then to Miller Hill and Sulabula on 25s. Halin and Seema and Migrator are 33 to 1. Boreen Prince and Brave Hussar, 66 to 1. Donegal Prince, 100 to 1. Lulav, 200 to 1. And Comedian has gone out to 400 to 1.
So if you fancy a long shot, there you are. Comedian running in the colours of Mrs. Gerald Benny for the first time. She's bought a half share in him. There, well, there's the horse himself. The joint favourite, Seema, 25 to 1 from 33. So a little bit of late money there for Jim Old's horse, running in the colours of Roddy Padmore. But for Auction, with that distinctive noseband and headband, I do think that's a rather nice touch for an owner to have his colours in those brow bands and nose bands. Just perks the job up a bit. And after all, this is a fair slice of show business racing as well as being serious business. He is a nice horse. He galloped yesterday. He just came out for a walk this morning. Didn't consider he needed to open his pipes. Very active type of horse. Joint favourite there, standing still with his back to us, Ekbalco. Ekbalco, who's got this amazing turn of speed. I just wonder if they'll make John Joe stretch by going a good gallop. I hope that they will go a good gallop. I like to see a true pace in a race, and that should suit every single horse. But Ekbalco, a blistering turn of foot. John Joe will probably lie handy on him. He's got a whole army of relations over here today. There are more O'Neills on the course than any other family, I would think. He's got 3 brothers, all look alike if they had their helmets, and oh, they're all shouting for him. Fane Ranger in the green, number 9 there. He, I believe, pulled some shoulder muscles some time ago. Red hat, the green colours, and the behind Halin. And shoulder muscles, not easy to get right. John Frankham and Royal Vulcan riding for Neville Callahan. This horse who went off the boil last season, but look at him now. Doesn't he look well? Neville, who ran him early on in the season, put him away and has prepared him for today. Today is the day. Very impressive in Ireland in the slowly run Wessel Industries handicap there, where he produced a lot of form. No other runner in it from 2 out. But we have some more betting for you.
For Auction and Ekbalco, still joint favourites, 3 to 1. Royal Vulcan, 9 to 2 now from 4s. Gay Brief, 13 to 2. Broadsword and Fane Ranger, 12 to 1. Daring Runners, 16s. On 25 to 1, Miller Hill, Sulabula and Seema. Halin and Migrator, 33 to 1. Boreen Prince and Brave Hussar, 66 to 1. Donegal Prince, 100 to 1. Lulav, 200 to 1. And Comedian, 500 to 1.
And these riders will be getting very excited now. They do this sort of thing day in, day out 6 times. a day and 6 days a week, but it is a big, big race. It's a great honour, too, to win this race. 34,500, nearly 35,000 going to the winner. John Frankham, well, he knows what it's all about, but you can still see very serious, because this is a serious business. He's thinking, how can he outdo the other runners? What's he got up his sleeve that the others don't know about? All their idiosyncrasies are pretty well known to each other, but they're just hoping for something new. I'm sure they're all expecting a fast gallop. I wonder if the front runners will pull a fast one and not go fast by Doddle on. There is Colin Magnier, rides very short, you can see, almost kneeling on his horse's withers, isn't he? But a very able man. If he were to turn pro, he'd hold his own amongst them. Well, he produced the horse just right last year. I wonder what he's going to do today. But you see here the difference between this race. There's not a lot of talking going on between them, is there? Normally, they're laughing and joking. There's Tommy Carmody looking down, very serious. For auction, Ekbalko, 3-1 joints. Royal Vulcan, 5-1 from 9-2. Gave Brief, 13-2. Broadsword 12s, as is Fane Ranger, and 16-1 Bar. But I do think this just does tell you how serious a job the big races are. Not one of them talking to each other. Steve Jobar looking at the ground. What on earth am I going to do to conjure Halin up to get his best? And Halin with his ears pricked, and Lulav there with Hewell Davis, a bit of a plaster on his face. Gay Brief, 7-1 fourth favourite from 13-2. So, with these serious jockeys pulling their glasses for a serious business, let's join Peter.
Thank you, Richard, who won this race, incidentally, in 1974 on Lanzarote. Now, Captain Dick Smalley across towards his rostrum. He's about to put the 17 runners under starters' orders, the 1983 Waterford Crystal Champion Hurdle. The white flag up, they're under starters' orders, and they're away. And Migrator and Comedian, the first to show, from Fane Ranger, and Comedian going on, being tracked by his stable companion Broadsword as they come to the first of the 8 flights. Comedian, Migrator, Sula Bula between horses. Over on the far side, Broadsword, just in behind him, Donegal, Prince and Seamer, and then comes Gay Brief, and then Lulav, and For Auction and Daring Run, Fane Ranger. And the back marker at the moment is Halin, and also in rear is Royal Vulcan. And racing now towards the second, Comedian. Comedian's rider looking over his left shoulder to see if Peter Scudamore is tracking him on Broadsword, and he is. Sula Beulah's up at the leaders. Migrator comes next, and then Gay Brief, and then comes Donegal, Prince and Seamer, and For Auction behind. For Auction is Lulav, and then Fane Ranger, Brave Hussar, Miller Hill, and For Auction. Halin still the back marker. Maureen Prince in rear, and so's Daring Run, and Sula Bula now going on. Sula Bula and Timmy's to be taken up from Comedian, then Broadsword, then Migrator, then Donegal Prince behind them For Auction, then Gay Brief on the inside of Fane Ranger, then Lulav, then Seamer on the inside, then comes Daring Run. Behind Daring Run is, who got a reminder there, is Brave Hussar, then comes Ekbalko and Royal Vulcan together, behind them Miller Hill, and then Maureen Prince, and finally Halin running downhill to the third flight, and Comedian gone up again to join Sula Bula. Right up with them is Broadsword, then comes Migrator, Donegal Prince, For Auction, Gay Brief, Seamer on the inside. Over this one, Comedian, Sula Bula and Broadsword on the inside. In fact, going on now, Broadsword. Then Donegal Prince in fourth. Behind them comes Seamer, and then For Auction on the outside. Behind them, Gay Brief. And making progress towards the outer is Daring Run now. And Halin is the back marker, coming down to the fourth. And it's Broadsword in the lead from Sula Bula and Migrator. Then Gay Brief on the inside. Then Daring Run on the outer with For Auction. And Royal Vulcan making ground, John Frankham on the inside. Ekbalko not far behind him. Racing right over the far side now in the Champion Hurdle. And it's Sula Bula and Broadsword matching strides from Daring Run, who's gone third. Gay Brief is 4, Seamer's 5. Fane Rangers going up on the outside to jump 6. Behind them come Royal Vulcan, and they're racing now towards the top of the hill. And as they do so, it's Sula Bula, Broadsword, Gay Brief, Fane Ranger, Daring Run. Behind them comes Seamer, then For Auction. Behind For Auction is Royal Vulcan, and then Lulath. Running downhill now, Ekbalko and Royal Vulcan have got a lot to do. They're coming down now towards the third last flight, and it's Broadsword in the lead from Sula Bula, Fane Ranger, Gay Brief. Behind them comes Seema, Ekbalko, Royal Vulcan on the inside. For Auction on the far side, and there it was Broadsword in the lead from Sula Bula, Fane Ranger, Gay Brief, Boreen Prince. Behind them For Auction, coming to the second last flight now, and it's Broadsword on the inside, narrowly in the lead from Sula Bula. Then Gay Brief coming there very strongly on the inside too, and it's Gay Brief now on the inside who takes it up as they race towards the final flight. Gay Brief has taken it up from Broadsword, then comes Boreen Prince and Sula Bula. Gay Brief has gone clear though as they come to the last. Richard Lindley on Gay Brief, he's going to jump it 4 lengths clear. Gay Brief lands in the lead, he hits it hard, he gets away with it. Boreen Prince next, then comes Broadsword, Sula Bula, For Auction, Ekbalko finishing fast, but Gay Brief striding up towards the line, being pressed by Boreen Prince, but he's going to hold him, and as they race towards the line, Gay Brief is going to win the champion hurdle. Boreen Prince is going to be second. It's going to be a photo for third between Ekbalko and For Auction. For Auction and Ekbalko for third in a photo, but Gay Brief the winner from Boreen Prince, and a tremendous triumph this for Mrs. Mercy Rymel, the First Lady, to train the winner of the champion hurdle, and the result of the 1983 champion hurdle. First, number 11, Gay Brief, owned by Sheikh Ali Abu Kamsin, trained by Mrs. Mercy Rymel and written by Richard Lindley. Second was number 1, Boreen Prince, owned by Mr. W.J. Lenihan, trained by Andrew McNamara and written by Niall Madden. And it's a photo for third place, a photo between For Auction and Ekbalko, with right up with them Broadsword. A close photo all right for third place, but no doubt about the 1-2, Gay Brief, a most convincing winner.
Now, one of the nicest looking horses in the paddock was Linorn, one of Nicky Henderson's runners in this race. Is by Levanter at a Chouve Dove, at a Black Tarquin, and what you can see now, it's almost doing a dressage action there. This is a very good horse indeed. He won a bumper in Ireland. He was second on his debut, beaten just ahead by Gambier at Ascot, and last time out at Newbury, we were covering the race, he was beaten a short head by Pieroff. This is a very good horse, and certainly if I was looking for a bit of value, he'd be my one. Ridden by John Frankham, who had a blank day yesterday, but is hoping for better things today and tomorrow. So Linorn, Stag Hill, Ballinacurralad 9-2 joints, Letop 13-2, 11-1 bar. So there'll certainly be some good prices if none of those win. In the yellow sleeves, blue jacket in the middle of the frame is 37, Mr. Lord, colours of Simon Tyndall, who has a lot of horses with Stan Mellor now. Mark Perrott in the saddle, and just one run. This was quite an expensive buy. I think he was 19,000 guineas, and certainly his first run was very pleasing. He was running on towards the end, and if he can run on up this hill at Cheltenham, that's where a lot of them die. I hope to see these colours really coming into the action there, because he's a nice horse. Ballinacurralad now firm favourite at 9-2. Stag Hill 5-1, Letop 13-2, 11-1 bar. 35 there, just going around the green sleeves on the red vest. That's 35, Willits Farm Boy, trained by Peter Haynes. Willits Farm Boy by March out of a Zucchero mare, Sugar Sweet, and he went down by half a length to Green Bamble, who runs in this race, but they were well clear in a bumper. That was at Lingfield in October. But he's successful in several hurdle races. His last race was a little bit disappointing, but not to worry. There'll be a lot more disappointments before the week's over. The grey is 4, Chemin de Guerre. This is a mare by Warpath, but they're coming under orders. Let's join Peter.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, the 27 being called in. Ballinacurralad, the 4-1 favourite, 5-1 Stag Hill, 6 Leddick, 11-1 bar, those 3. Captain Dick Smalley calling him in now, and they're away. Dawn Run over on the far side, Linorn on the near side. Between horses is Willits Farm Boy. Just in behind them come Malford Lad and Sabandouloir and Camino Crystal, and Stag Hill on the outside, Noble Air. and Dawn Run going on. She's a confirmed front runner, this Irish trained mare. She's gone on now. Dawn Run from Malford Lad, then comes Willets Farm Boy and Linnorm, then Saban du Loire. Behind Saban du Loire is Noble Air, then on the outside is Stag Hill. Just in behind them, Papa's Buskins, Camino Crystal. Behind Camino Crystal is West Tip and Duke of Milan, and Green Bramble. And Military Band is the back marker of the 27 at the moment, and it's Dawn Run making it from Malford Lad and Saban du Loire. On the inside then is Willets Farm Boy, Stag Hill right up with them. Lettock on the outside of Stag Hill, then comes Noble Air and then Linnorm. Behind Linnorm is Papa's Buskins with Camino Crystal, and then comes West Tip. And then Inish Glora. Behind Inish Glora is Green Bramble, then Duke of Milan. Behind Duke of Milan is Trust the King. Racing towards the third now. Dawn Run in the lead from Malford Lad. Saban du Loire is third, and Stag Hill and Lettock 4 and 5. Just in behind them, Noble Air and then Linnorm and then Papa's Buskins. And a faller there is Green Bramble. Green Bramble has fallen at the fourth. At the third, I should say, is Ryder just getting to his feet now. They're coming to the fourth, the leaders. Dawn Run from Malford Lad, Saban du Loire, Stag Hill, Lettock behind them. Willets Farm Boy, then Papa's Buskins, Linnorm holding his place on the far rail. Arctic Conditions just in behind the leaders with West Tip. Then comes Camino Crystal, the grey Chemin de Guerre, coming to the fourth now. Dawn Run lands in the lead from Malford Lad, Saban du Loire, Stag Hill on the inside, Noble Air, then West Tip, and then Willets Farm Boy, then Lettock. Behind Lettock is Camino Crystal, and then Arctic Conditions, and then comes Inish Glora with Chemin de Guerre and Military Band, who's made good progress on the outside. Mrs. Playfair is next. Linnorm is still there on the inner, and then comes Simon Legree and Whitehall Bridge, and Papa's Buskins, who's lost a place or two. Behind them, Duke of Milan. The back marker, in fact, at the moment is Captain Dynamo, and as they run downhill, Dawn Run in the lead from Saban du Loire. Stag Hill on the outside of Malford Lad, and then Noble Air is going strongly with Lettock on his outside and West Tip next, and then comes Chemin de Guerre and Camino Crystal, and Military Band still making progress towards the outside, coming to the fifth. Dawn Run lands in the lead from Saban du Loire, Stag Hill. Then on the outside, Lettock. On the inside, Noble Air. West Tip is next, Chemin de Guerre. Then Military Band. Then on the inside, Trust the King. Behind Trust the King, Richardstown, who's made a place or two. So right down the far side of the course, coming to the sixth of the 10 flights in this Sun Alliance Novices Hurdle, and Dawn Run lands in the lead from Saban du Loire, Stag Hill, Noble Air. Behind Noble Air, Lettock, and then West Tip. Behind them come Trust the King, and then Inish Glora, who's making ground. Chemin de Guerre on the outside. Military Band still well in touch, racing towards the top of the hill now. The hurdle at the top of the hill, the seventh flight, and it's Dawn Run on the inside. Lands marginally in the lead from Saban du Loire. Then comes Noble Air, then Stag Hill, then Lettock right up with them too, then Chemin de Guerre, then West Tip, then Trust the King, then Inish Glora, and then Ballinacarralad making ground towards the leaders. But it's Dawn Run from Saban du Loire and Lettock, the two Dickinson runners, chasing Dawn Run at the moment. Stag Hill just in behind them. Then comes Noble Air. Then Ballinacarralad still making progress towards the outside. It's Dawn Run from Saban du Loire, and then Lettock over on the outside. Then comes Stag Hill, Noble Air, and Ballinacarralad as they come to jump the next. And there it was Saban du Loire and Dawn Run, little between them, and then comes Lettock, and then Noble Air, and behind them Stag Hill and Ballinacarralad and Mrs. Playfair. Then comes Trust the King and West Tip and Chemin de Guerre, and you can virtually count the rest out of it as they come to the second last. Saban du Loire lands in the lead at the second last. Dawn Run fighting her way back on the inside. Then comes Noble Air, then Lettock on the outside, then Ballinacarralad. West Tip trying to get into the picture too as Stag Hill fades. Coming to the final flight now, and is this going to be the first Dickinson winner? Saban du Loire in the lead from Dawn, deep run on the Dawn Run on the far side. Then comes West Tip, and then Just in behind them, Noble Air, and it's Sabandoulois. Chemin-de-Guerre's a faller there. Sabandoulois being pressed again by Dawn Run. Sabandoulois from Dawn Run and West Tip as they race into the closing stages. And this is going to be number 1 for Michael Dickinson. Sabandoulois, this ex-French horse, striding away to maintain his unbeaten record in England. Sabandoulois wins it. Second is Dawn Run, and third West Tip, and 4 came Noble Air. Behind them, Lettick, and behind Lettick was Simon Legree, and then Vivac. Behind Vivac was Camino Crystal, and then came Trust the King and Mrs. Playfair, and then Stag Hill, who faded, and Ballinacarra. Laird behind Ballinacarra. Laird was Whitehall Bridge, and then in his Glory, and then Melford Laird. And looking back to last place, it was Military Band. And so the result of this Sun Alliance Novices Hurdle, first number 38. Sabandoulois, owned by Mr. Tony Dickinson, trained by Michael Dickinson and ridden by Graham Bradley. Second was number 26. Dawn Run, owned by Mrs. C.D. Hill, trained by Paddy Mullins in Ireland. And third was number 22, West Tip, owned by Mr. Peter Luff, trained by Michael Oliver and ridden by Philip Hobbs. Fourth was number 14, Noble Air.
Today it's the Queen Mother Champion Chase. 6 runners and riders now with 2 non-runners. They're named by Peter O'Sullivan.
1 is Artifice, ridden by Peter Scudamore. 2, Bearsworth Boy, Robert Earnshaw. 5, Drumgora, Frank Berry. 8, News King, John Frankham. 9, Rath Gorman, Kevin White, Sooty White. And 12, the Mighty Mac, ridden by Bootsmap.
Well, Rath Gorman had an amazing season last year. He came to this meeting with 5 successive wins under his belt. Not quite so good this year, but who can forget last year?
And racing round the home turn, and it's Rath Gorman for the north with a clear advantage, and really motoring now. Rath Gorman with his white face showing with a clear advantage over the Mighty Mac, spinning St. Drumgora and Chinrella. Coming to the last, Sooty White looks as though he has it sewn up now for the Michael Dickinson stable if he jumps it. Rath Gorman looks as though he's only going to jump it to win the Queen Mother Chase. Rath Gorman comes to it clear, jumps it well. The Mighty Mac jumps it second and falls. The Mighty Mac is down, Chinrella was gone second, and then spinning St. and Drumgora, and racing up towards the line, Rath Gorman, or Raffles as he's known as his stable, strides away to win the Queen Mother Champion Chase in tremendous style.
And a reproduction of that would be quite good enough, but as I was saying just now, he hasn't really been quite so good this season. Indeed, his first run this season, he was beaten 30 lengths by Artifice at Sandown. Artifice went on to go within a hair's breadth of a marvellous win in the Mackerson Go Cup.
Rounding the home turn, and it's Artifice a long way clear. Artifice, who unshipped his rider back in 1979, is coming to win the Mackerson Gold Cup if he stands up at the last. Artifice is well clear of $50 more, who's second. Artifice in the lead from $50 more. Artifice lands well, $50 more jumps it second. Wayward Laird jumps it third. Tackroy 4, and racing into the closing stages, it's Artifice with $50 more in second. $50 more is putting in a tremendous run, but Artifice is still holding him as they come to the line. It's Artifice with $50 more, putting in a tremendous run to get up and win it.
Well, beaten in the last ride there, Artifice, and he's a horse who usually runs best fresh. I wonder, Tommy, what do you think of this race?
Well, seeing that Michael Dickinson has broken the ice, I think he can follow on. Badsworth Boy, if he gets round, I think he'll beat Rath Gorman. But Robert Earnshaw has it all to do. He's a good horseman, he'll need to, but this horse can kind of pitch a bit when he lands. But if he goes clear, I think he'll beat the stable companion.
So it's Badsworth Boy for you?
Badsworth Boy, provided that he jumps round.
Right, well, let's hear the news of betting on our way to join Richard Pittman.
And Rath Gorman is the favourite, 6-4. Badsworth Boy, 5-2. News King, 4-1. Artifice, 8-1. Drumgora, 10-1. And the Mighty Mac, 20-1.
And the trophy for this race, the Queen Mother Champion Chase. And trophies certainly getting more elegant than the old style cups that we were so used to seeing. That, I wonder, whose sideboard that will rest on in about quarter of an hour's time. Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, Queen Mother, is in the ring for this, her race, and she's a very avid race watcher. I did notice that she was on her balcony earlier on, looking at the horses when they first came into the ring, and certainly was most interested in each of the performers. Captain Miles Gosling there with Her Majesty, chairman of the Steeplechase Company of Cheltenham. And there is Raffles, who suffered a setback last time he ran at Stratford-on-Avon, And in fact, on that occasion, he was second to his own stable companion, Badsworth Boy. He has had various little setbacks in his career, this horse, but by golly, what a good servant he has been to Jim Lilly, Northern Ireland-based owner. He's won no end of races, in fact 25 races over jumps, 13 different courses he's been successful on. However, this isn't the first time he's been on Cheltenham Racecourse today, because earlier this morning he was out having just a gentle canter in the middle of the course, and doesn't that present a lovely picture? Sooty White, his jockey today, on his back this morning, and just having a gentle hack around just to loosen him up. But I must stress, he was the only one of the Dickinson horses so far to be seen out in the middle of the course in the morning. There is Raffles, and a very big white blaze on his head. I wonder if we'll see that coming lunging round the last bend in front. He has been such a good money spinner to his owner, and his owner very, very emotional. He also owns Gay Spartan. He's been over to see him win twice already this season, so his trips to England, very fruitful so far. There is Badsworth Boy, the other Dickinson runner, who in fact beat Raffles last time out at Stratford. On that occasion, he was getting £10 from his stable companion. Robert Earnshaw in the saddle today. On that occasion, Dermot Brown rode him, the amateur. Robert, who is virtually stable jockey there now, taking the ride. Badsworth Boy, a big, scopy chestnut, not always the best jumper of fences. When he started off, he used to belt one or two. In fact, at Stratford, he was very bold and very fast. But these Cheltenham fences slightly stiffer than the Stratford ones, but I think that now he's put it together, he certainly has every chance. News King, Fred Winter's runner, and sad to say that Fred Winter not here today. He's at home with just a touch of flu, but we hope that a win from this one perks him up, because News King is a very decent horse. The only thing against him is the fact that he does like fast ground. He struggled home at Newbury last season on heavy ground, and Connection said he'd never run on it again, but he did win on that occasion. Today it's a little bit tacky. It was virtually good ground yesterday, but a bit of rain overnight has made it tacky. News King is 9-2, third favourite from 4-1. John Frankham in the saddle. Artifice, number 1. He's a 12-year-old by Master Owen out of Lady Artist II, who was by Artist's son. And this horse, well, what a tribute to his trainer. And really, he is the idol of his girl leading it up there. That's Jackie Thorne, daughter of the trainer. You wouldn't want to say a bad word about this one. But he has had everything wrong with him in his time, from heart to leg troubles, and a great credit to John Thorne that he's produced him now as a 12-year-old, probably better than ever. But his trainer is slightly afraid that he might just be short of a race. He wanted to get a race into him recently, but was unable to. So as Artifice leads them out for the parade for the Queen Mother Champion Chase, let's see how they bet.
Rathgorman now is 7-4, a Badsworth Boy 9-4, News King 9-2, Artifice 9-1, Drumgore 12s, and the Mighty Mac 20-1.
And Artifice again leading the parade. What an exciting horse this is, and how unlucky in the Mackerson Gold Cup. But that was run over 2.5 miles. I remember talking to his joint owners slightly just before that race, and they were at variance as to what the horse's best trip was. I must admit I thought this horse would get 2.5 and further, but in fact he is best at 2 miles. Number 2, Badsworth Boy. Well, when he fell at Liverpool, it was such a burying you never thought he'd ever get up again. But happily he did. He's here, and he's very fit. Number 5, Drumgore, previous winner of this race. He won it in 1981, but very disappointing last year. Good-looking horse, fine condition, but hasn't quite shown his best form of late. News King, relaxed, very good hurdler. Previously trained by Neville Callahan, but he's certainly been with Fred Winter for 3 seasons now and has done exceptionally well. Good hurdler, good chaser. There is Raffles, pulling hard even at the walk. A workman, you can see head down, really pulling on. This was one of the many ones produced by Jeremy Maxwell in Northern Ireland for Dickinson's and other English stables. Badsworth Boy 2-1 second favourite from 9-4, hardening 1/4 of a point. And there, the Mighty Mac in the colours of Jane Lane. He was second at the last fence last year when falling. It was quite an amazing fall, really, because he went astride and then buckled over. It didn't really look as if he'd hit the fence at all. A hard-pulling horse. He's got a tight noseband on him there to help Boots Madden wagon him a little bit. Big, strapping horse, trained originally in Ireland by Tom Costello, and there he produced him to be one of the finest young chasers, both over 2 and 3 miles, but he's now considered to be best at 2 miles. I must say he's been slightly disappointing on his forays to England, even when trained in Ireland, and since joining John Edwards at Leominster, well, he hasn't won a race, but he's run some very good races indeed. He was just a length second to Prominent Artist, Dickinson-trained horse, at Wolverhampton in December. Fine big horse, and Jane Lane, a very enthusiastic owner. I'd certainly like to see her in the winner's enclosure. So the runners at the top of the course, the very height of the hill here, turning to canter down to the 2-mile start. This should be a good gallop. They'll ensure that it is. Badsworth Boy can easily go on if he has to, and in fact Artifice probably be well up with them. I should think this will be a rattling good pace. Just look at the crowds in the grandstand there. Absolutely packed in there. Bookmakers quite happy last evening. I met several on the way out, and their bags, their satchels were certainly far from empty. Drumgora just going down, 11-year-old now by Daybrook Lad out of a Limekiln mare. As I say, was successful here in 81 in this race, but was rather disappointing last year. Came to England on 2 occasions, but what a strapping-looking horse this is. Trained by Arthur Moore in Ireland. Arthur, whose horses were wrong for a couple of months earlier on in the year, just at the turn of the year, but they've certainly come back with a bang now, and Arthur, a very capable trainer indeed. His only success last season was in the Goffs handicap chase at Navan, and he was third behind the easy winner Rathgorman in the 82 champion chase, but beaten a long way. But doesn't he look well? Look how hard he's pulling as he takes Frank Berry down to the start there. Almost getting away with his jockey, isn't he? Starts down the bottom of the hill, and that picture in fact doesn't tell you quite how steep the hill is, and I can assure you at the end of a race when you've been up it once, it's twice as steep. As the runners come down to meet us, we have a show betting for you, followed.
Rathgorman 15-8, Badsworth Boy 2-1, Use King 5-1, Artifice 9-1, Drumgora 12s, and the Mighty Mac 20-1.
Raffles there, number 9. 4 white socks. There used to be a rhyme that all horsemen sang to themselves when they went to look at horses. If they had 4 white socks, it ended up, don't buy them. Well, if those who'd passed this one over would be feeling very sick now, wouldn't they? A very good horse indeed. I hear from Michael Dickinson that although this horse wasn't wrong at Stratford, they think that he's better today. Raffles in those colours, carried so successfully now by Gay Spartan, who runs tomorrow. But there is the other Dickinson horse, Badsworth Boy. 4 runs so far this season and 4 wins. A very exciting, fast horse. Now that he's started to put his jumping together, I think that he's a very live contender indeed. This is a good race and certainly worthy of the prize. Badsworth Boy, very short backed behind the saddle. You'll see from the back of the saddle to the top of his rump is a very short distance indeed, because the front of him is very long, big long neck and a good deep front. And he didn't used to round at all at his fences, but he's just put that together. He, I suppose, is a brave jumper. He likes to stand off at his fences, and you can't always get away with it. The farther off you stand, sooner or later, you're not going to get there. But if he jumps like he did at Stratford for Dermot Brown, then he should go very close. Robert Earnshaw got a big task ahead tomorrow, a lot on his plate as the defending champion in the Gold Cup. Badsworth Boy there in the picture. Let's see how they bet.
Rathgorman's back to 7-4, Badsworth Boy 2-1, Use King 9-2, Artifice 9-1, Drumgora 11-1, and the Mighty Mac still on 20-1.
And opinion of him was just expressing that he thought the ground might have gone slightly against him, but it's not all that bad, if a little tacky. Interesting to see there that John's just fished his goggles out from inside his racing silks, obviously keeping them warm so that they don't mist up, because goggles aren't a lot of good if you can't see where you're going when you go to the first fence. They're coming in. Let's join Peter.
Thank you, Richard. Yes, Captain Dick Smalley calls them in, and they're away. And Drumgora and Use King dispute the lead as they come to the first of the 12 fences. Drumgora, in fact, the former winner, going clear at the first, jumps it a little bit left-handed. Use King jumps it second, then Artifice and Badsworth Boy and Rathgorman and the Mighty Mac, and they're going a real good clip coming down to the second. Drumgora, well clear of News King, Artifice, Badsworth Boy and Rathgorman and the Mighty Mac. Quite a long run to the third. Drumgora from News King, Artifice, Badsworth Boy, Rathgorman and the Mighty Mac. Drumgora and Frank Berry setting a real good gallop from News King, Artifice and Badsworth Boy. Jumps it very big and bold, the leader. They're racing uphill now to the fourth. Drumgora, clear of Artifice, now gone second. The News King on the inside of Badsworth Boy, and the Mighty Mac and Rathgorman matching strides. The fourth, Drumgora. Just pitches a little on landing there. Doesn't lose any impetus. Drumgora goes on still from Artifice, Badsworth Boy on the outside of News King, then Rathgorman, last year's winner, and the Mighty Mac. Number 5. Drumgora, Artifice, Badsworth Boy, News King. News King just pecked a little bit there. Rathgorman and the Mighty Mac, and this is the water. Number 6. Drumgora from Badsworth Boy, News King and Artifice. Rathgorman and the Mighty Mac, and now the first of the two ditches, or the regulation as they call it in Ireland. Badsworth Boy going up on the outside of Drumgora, a little between the two there. And then Artifice, News King, Rathgorman and the Mighty Mac. Another plain one before the final ditch, number 8. Badsworth Boy lands in the lead from Drumgora, Artifice, News King, Rathgorman and the Mighty Mac, and News King getting a reminder there from John Frankham. They come to the final ditch. Badsworth Boy jumps it clear. Rathgorman, a good jump on the outside of News King and Artifice. Drumgora's lost his place altogether. The Mighty Mac is tailed off and looks as though he may be pulled up. And now they've got 3 fences left to jump in the Queen Mother Champion chase. And it's Badsworth Boy, clear of News King and Rathgorman, then Artifice and Drumgora. And the race now with a Michael Dickinson 1-2 look about it as Badsworth Boy comes to the third last from Rathgorman and News King. Badsworth Boy jumps it clear of News King and Rathgorman. Coming to the second last now. And Robert Earnshaw looks over his right shoulder, sees very little danger barring an accident. Badsworth Boy. Oh, he's made a bad mistake there. He got away with it. News King jumped it second. He made a bad mistake too. Rathgorman takes the initiative from News King. Artifice is 4th and 5th is Drumgora. But Badsworth Boy coming to the final fence now in the Queen Mother Champion chase and looking as though he only has to jump it to win it. In second is Rathgorman, then News King and Artifice coming to the final fence now. Badsworth Boy, ears pricked, measures it carefully, gets away from it well. A cheer from the crowd. It's going to be very close for second indeed. Rathgorman jumps it second, but Artifice finishing well on the near side. News King on the far side. Rathgorman loses his place as Badsworth Boy strides up to the line to win the Queen Mother Champion chase in great style. Artifice, one of the old men of the party, in fact the old man, a 12-year-old, runs on gallantly to be second. Artifice is second and News King is third. And Drumgora gets up to relegate Rathgorman, last year's winner, to 5th. With the Mighty Mac finishing a long way behind the remainder, and so the official result: first, number 2, Badsworth Boy, owned by Mr. D.H. Armitage, trained by Michael Dickinson and ridden by Robert Earnshaw. Second was number 1, Artifice, owned by Mr. Paul K. Barber and Mr. John Thorne, trained by John Thorne and ridden by Peter Scudamore. And third was number 8, News King, owned by Mr. Terry Foreman and Mr. W.S.H. Bushiel, trained by Fred Winter and ridden by John Frankham. Fourth was number 5, Drumgora. This is the winner. Here's how he won it as we review it with Richard Pittman.
And as they came to the second last, this was the only moment of doubt for Badsworth Boy regarding his jumping. He's pricking his ears, cocking his head and looking almost at the people. He gets low. Robert Earnshaw gives him a reef on the reins, gathers him quickly, and behind him you can see John Frankham, News King, also making a mistake, but John doesn't get shifted from a mistake like that. And on his outside, Rath Gorman, who had been in trouble from the top of the hill and was never looking as if he was going to get back at his stable companion. He's definitely not his true form. Coming round the last bend, Robert Earnshaw has had a look. He knows there is no danger except that last fence. Having just made a mistake, he wasn't going to ask this horse for a great big leap at the last. But look, that must be 20 lengths between them. Just one fence now. What's he going to do, Badsworth? He shortens nicely and jumped as he had throughout the race, except for the second last. Robert Earnshaw secure now in the fact that he's no more fences, going to the last, 3 of them in line for second. Rath Gorman weakening, in fact even Drumgora goes on to pass him, so obviously he's not right. But Artifice running on nicely at the end of a race, all very tired. They'd gone a fair gallop throughout the race, and that ensured that when they finished they were all going rather backwards at the end. So a good winner there, Badsworth Boy, the second of the day for Michael Dickinson.
Badsworth Boy, the 2-to-1 second favourite, having maintained his fine sequence this season, unbeaten now in 5 runs. So number 2 for Michael Dickinson. And the Ritz Club Charity Trophy is still wide open, with no rider having scored more than once. The scorers so far at the 1983 festival: Mr. Colin Magnier, Tommy Carmody, Richard Lindley, Joe Byrne, Alan Brown, Tommy Dunn, and today 2 of the Dickinson riders, Graham Bradley and Robert Earnshaw. Out of a Falcon mare, Falcon, himself a sprinter, the sire of the great night nurse. The safe bet that Artifice, the old man there of the field, will have pleased his connections by his second spot in the Queen Mother Champion Chase as much as the winner will have delighted his.
Well, the distances are a distance and 6 lengths. A distance and 6 lengths.
And the official margin there, a distance and 6 lengths. So the judge estimated that Badsworth Boy defeated his field by 30 lengths or more.
We have the starting prices for the second race, the Queen Mother Champion Steeplechase. First number 2 has the prize at 2-1. Second number 1, Artifice at 9-1. Third number 8, News King at 5-1. Number 9, Rath Gorman was the 15 to
And the tide having turned for Michael Dickinson following a very disappointing start. See him represented in the next, the Coral Golden Hurdle Final by Brunton Park, the likely favourite. Will give Graham Bradley the opportunity to go ahead in the Ritz Club Charity Trophy. Meanwhile, here now the starting prices on the Queen Mother Champion Chase.
First number 2, Badsworth Boy, 2-to-1. Second number 1, Artifice, 9-to-1, and third number 8, News King, 5-to-1. First Badsworth Boy, 2-to-1. The second Artifice, 9-to-1, and third News King, 5-to-1. 6 ran.
You must have been a bit depressed yesterday evening.
Yesterday evening I wasn't feeling too good at all. I was ready for home.
What happened to Branding on, do you think, in the Arkle?
It was really too bad to be true. I think there's probably something wrong, or I hope there's something wrong, because it wasn't his form at all. It was sort of, he's much better than that.
Did he made 1 or 2 jumping errors early on?
He did, but I was never going well, and when you're on the bridle, it's easier to get jumping. So.
Well, now, what about this race? Did you think before the race that you were on the right one, or did you think it was Raffles again?
I knew it would be very close. I suppose you'd have to fancy Rathcommon a little bit. So I thought it'd be a lot closer than it was anyway.
Well, we weren't sure how just fast they were going early on, but a mile out, you obviously decided they weren't going nearly fast enough, because you really kicked down the far side.
Well, when you ran at Liverpool, I was racing to the last, and he fell with me. So I was thinking I didn't want to have to take it up racing in case I fell, you know. So I decided it was better to take it up when I was going easily, and then I could hunt a little bit down the hill, you know. So that was the idea of that, I suppose.
For 100 you may have done, but he nearly got you on the floor at the second last.
He did, yeah. We met it wrong, and it was either come up for a big one or pop, and he isn't too good at popping at all, so we had to come up for a big one, but he just dived a little bit.
Just got there.
Yeah, just.
And that was the worst moment, and obviously after that you could ease down a bit for the last.
I was further in front than I thought I was.
How does it feel being quite as far in front of that at Cheltenham? Because I don't think you've ever been that far in front before.
I've never been that far in front, no. It's nice.
Well, let's talk about tomorrow and Silverbuck. Michael Dixon's just a little bit pessimistic just now. Gave the impression he felt the horse wasn't quite the 100% that he was last year. How are your feelings about it?
Possibly wouldn't be quite the same as he was last year, but I'm hopeful.
Did he? Of course, you didn't ride him the other day in his prep race.
I didn't know. Kevin rode him. There. So.
Was he pleased with him?
Kevin was pleased with him, yes.
Well, one more big ride today, and of course that's on the Sun Alliance Chase on Right Hand Man. Are you hopeful there?
Yeah, hopeful. Hopeful.
Well, that's about as much as you get out of a man from Howard, anyway.
And coming to the first of the 8 flights, and Run for Gold is the first to show in the centre of the picture. Run for Gold from Sand Walker, ever great right up with them, and then Mollington, and then Hal's Joy and George Miguel. Hal's Joy, in fact, pecked a little on landing, but didn't lose any impetus, and Run for Gold is in the lead. Run for Gold from Mollington and Sand Walker, and Alistair O'Mavros over on the far side, on the right of the picture. He's a grey, spot him, Alistair O'Mavros, very prominent with Run for Gold. Between horses is Sand Walker. The whole shebang is just in behind them. Then come Mollington and Hal's Joy. Behind Hal's Joy is Cutter Dash with George Miguel and Comatch, and the back marker at the moment is Grant Lee, the back marker of the 30 as they come down to the next flight. Over the second, Run for Gold from Sand Walker and Alistair O'Mavros. Then comes Mollington. Then on the outside, Comatch with Hal's Joy. Whole shebang on the inner. Then Old Faithful and the Owls. And behind them comes Saxon Farm and Ambience on the inside. Behind Ambience is Primroller. Behind Primroller is Swinging Moon, and then Phileas. And the back markers are Grant Lee, Ross Fandango, and Me Bonnie Lass has pulled up. So 29 as they run down the far side, with Alistair O'Mavros on the inside of Run for Gold. Then comes Whole Shebang. Behind them come Cloud Walker and Ambience pulling quite hard on the inside. Towards the outer is Hal's Joy with Comatch, and just in behind them Old Faithful. Then comes 10th of October and Manta, and behind Manta is Swinging Moon, and then Charles Stewart. And the back markers now a Critical Path, Grant Lee and Ever Great as they come down to the next flight, to the 4th. Alistair O'Mavros and Run for Gold and Sand Walker just ahead of Whole Shebang. Then comes Old Faithful. Ambience on the inside. Return to Power has made progress. Swinging Moon is also well there. And so is Mollington. And then comes Manta. Right over on the far side now, Alistair O'Mavros with 3 left to jump from Run for Gold, Sand Walker. Just in behind them come Whole Shebang. Then the Owls and Saxon Farm and Return to Power. And over that one, Run for Gold lands in the lead as they race to the top of the hill. It's Run for Gold from Alistair O'Mavros, Return to Power, Saxon Farm on the inside. Running downhill now, Sandwalker still holding his position, and Wallow Will is making very good progress too towards the leaders. It's Run for Gold though as they run downhill from Return to Pass. Sandwalker, Wallow Will, then comes Saxon Farm, Alistair Mavros, then Mollington. Behind Mollington is the whole shebang. And then comes Vintage Year, and then Primrolla making good ground towards the outside, but it's still Run for Gold the leader. From Return to Pass, Saxon Farm, Alistair Mavros on the inside, Wallow Will coming there strongly on the far side. This is the second last flight. Run for Gold lands in the lead from Return to Power. Just in behind them, Saxon Farm, Mollington, then Wallow Will, then Primrolla. Racing round the home turn now with one flight left to jump in the 1983 Daily Express Triumph Hurdle, and it's Run for Gold being pressed by Saxon Farm, Alistair Mavros. 10th of October coming there strongly too. Just in behind them, Ross Fandango. It's Run for Gold being pressed by Saxon Farm on the near side, Alistair Mavros on the far side. Very little between these three. 10th of October's next, and then Gainsay, and then Ross Fandango. The final flight, Alistair Mavros in the lead from Saxon Farm. Alistair Mavros touches down from Saxon Farm on the near side, and it's Saxon Farm on the near side who takes it up now from Alistair Mavros, and then 10th of October and Ross Fandango, and Saxon Farm is striding away. Saxon Farm and Mark Perrick, they've never been beaten in combination. They've won their 5th race together. Saxon Farm has won it. 10th of October is second, and in 3rd place Alistair Mavros, and then Gainsay and Ross Fandango, and behind them came Run for Gold, the long-time leader, and then Manta, and behind them came Old Faithful and Wallow Will, and then Ambience. And looking right down the field, the last to finish in fact is Charming Charles. And so a tremendous 1-2 for Stan Mellor in the 19th running of the Daily Express Triumph Hurdle. The result, first number 34, Saxon Farm, owned by Mr. Ray Birchall, trained by Stan Mellor and ridden by Mark Perrett. Second was number 38, 10th of October, owned by Mr. T.H. Ferris and Mrs. C.M. Ferris, trained by Stan Mellor and ridden by Bill Smith. And third was number 1, Alistair Mavros, owned by Mr. M.C. Paradicus, trained by Josh Gifford, ridden by Richard. And Bregorn being led round by his lad as the starter calls them in. Bregorn, 130 favourite from 3-1, and they're off and coming to the first of the 22 fences. Bregorn has jumped off very well indeed, and it's Wiggy Gio leading him in fact to the first fence. Wiggy Gio from Bregorn, $50 more on Captain John and Ashley House on the inside, then Midnight Love and Rich D as they come towards the second and going a good clip too. Wiggy Gio from Bregorn, then $50 more behind them, Captain John and Ashley House and Midnight Love and Rich D, and then Silverbuck and Brown Chamberlain, Wayward Lad and Coombs Ditch just the back marker. And they're really going a strong pace in this 56th running of the Gold Cup. And as they run down towards the next, it's Wiggy Gio in the lead. From Bregorn, Ashley House on the inside of Captain John with $50 more on the outer. Just in behind there, Midnight Love, Rich D, Brown Chamberlain, Silverbuck, Wayward Lad and Coombs Ditch as the leader comes to the third. Gio lands in the lead from Bregorn, and $50 more, and Ashley House on the inside. Then Captain John and Midnight Love and Silverbuck and Brown Chamberlain and Rich D and Wayward Lad and Coombs Ditch. Over the water now, Wiggy Gio lands in the lead from Bregorn. In third place, $50 more. Brown Chamberlain dropped his hind legs in the water there, coming to the first of the ditches. Wiggy Gio on the inside of Bregorn, $50 more. Third, 4 Ashley House. 5 and 6 are Midnight Love and Captain John. Then Silverbuck and Rich D and Wayward Lad as they come to the sixth. Over the sixth, Wiggy Gio from Bregorn rather now, from Wiggy Gio and Ashley House, and then $50 more as they race towards another ditch. Number 7 this is. Bregorn in the lead from Wiggy Gio, Ashley House, a little gap then to $50 more as they come to this ditch. Bregorn lands in the lead from Wiggy Gio, Ashley House in third, $50 more. Then Midnight Love, behind Midnight Love is Silverbuck, and then Captain John and Rich D, and then Wayward Lad, and then Coombs Ditch, and finally Brown Chamberlain at the top of the hill, and Bregorn lands in the lead from Wiggy Gio, and then Ashley House, and then $50 more. Then Midnight Love and Captain John, and on the outside of Captain John is Silverbuck, and then comes Wayward Lad and Rich D and Coombs Ditch, and Brown Chamberlain getting a reminder there. He's in last place at the moment. They're running to the first fence downhill. number 9 of the 22 in all, and Brigon clear of his field at the moment from Wiggy-Geo, Ashley House, $50 more, Midnight Love and Silverback and Captain John and Rich D, and then Wayward Lad, Coombs Ditch and Brown Chamberlain. Still Brigon clear of Wiggy-Geo, Ashley House, $50 more, Midnight Love and Silverback as they jump the 10th and all safely over it. So racing now towards the fence that will be the second last on the next circuit, Brigon. The favourite is clear of Wiggy-Geo, with Brigon's stable companion, or one of his stable companions, Ashley House, in third. Ashley House laid by the sponsors the tote to lose 12,000 this morning in a bet. Over number 11, Brigon lands in the lead from Wiggy-Geo, Ashley House, $50 more, Midnight Love, Silverback, Captain John, Rich D, Wayward Lad, Coombs Ditch and Brown Chamberlain. Over number 12, Brigon lands clear of Wiggy-Geo, Ashley House, $50 more, Silverback getting a bit closer, Midnight Love, Captain John, Rich D, Wayward Lad, Coombs Ditch, and finally Brown Chamberlain, a long way behind him, Brown Chamberlain. So another complete circuit in the tote Cheltenham Gold Cup, and it's Brigon leading now from his stable companion Ashley House, who's gone second. Then comes Silverback, another stable companion, moving into third on the outside of $50 more. Then comes Captain John. Behind Captain John is Wiggy-Geo, then Rich D, Wayward Lad, Midnight Love and Coombs Ditch over the 13th. Brigon from Ashley House. Then comes Silverback. Then $50 more. Behind $50 more is Captain John. Then Coombs Ditch getting a bit closer as they run down to the water. Over it, Brigon lands in the lead from Ashley House. Silverback is next. Then comes Captain John, then $50 more. Brown Chamberlain's been pulled up. This is the second last ditch now. And it's Brigon in the lead from Ashley House in second. Silverback is third. Wiggy-Geo has been pulled up. They're coming to another plain one, the 16th. Brigon lands in the lead from Ashley House, who makes a bad mistake there but gets away with it. In third place is Silverback. 4 is Wayward Lad. It's a Dickinson 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment. This is the final ditch. Coombs Ditch is making progress. At the final ditch, Brigon is clear, 6 from home, of Silverback, last year's winner. Ashley House jumps it third. In fourth place is Wayward Lad. 5th is Captain John, and 6th is Coombs Ditch as they come to the top of the hill, the 18th fence. Brigon is clear of Silverback second. Then comes Wayward Lad jumping it in third. In fourth is Ashley House. 5th now making progress is Captain John. 6th is Coombs Ditch. And Brigon is really stretching them now as they run down the hill. Brigon, the Michael Dickinson chain favourite, coming to the 4th last fence. Brigon at the top of the hill, jumps it clear in the lead from Silverback, last year's winner. Wayward Lad, Captain John. Behind Captain John is Ashley House, who's weakening. And they're coming down now to the 3rd last fence in the Gold Cup, and as they do so, it's Brigon being chased by his stable companions, Silverback, Captain John and Wayward Lad. Brigon from Silverback and Captain John, a bad mistake. Wayward Lad's improving. They're coming round the home turn now with 2 fences left to jump in the Gold Cup, and it's a Michael Dickinson quartet at the moment, with Brigon the leader from Wayward Lad. John Joe O'Neill moving into second. Silverback is third. David Goulding is 4th on Captain John. Then comes Ashley House and Coombs Ditch as they come to the second last. Brigon in the lead from Wayward Lad, Silverback and Captain John. And that's how they jump it. Coming to the final fence now, it's going to be an unprecedented Michael Dickinson quartet if they all jump the last fence. Brigon is in the lead from Captain John, challenging on the near side. Brigon lands over it, Captain John second, then Wayward Lad racing into the closing stages. And it's Brigon being challenged by Wayward Lad, Captain John on the near side. Brigon being pressed now by Captain John. Brigon striding up to the line to win it. Brigon wins the Gold Cup. Second is Captain John and third is Wayward Lad. And fourth is going to be Silverback. An amazing 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Michael Dickinson quartet, and he's going to achieve the 5th because Ashley House runs on to be 5th. Rich D is 6th, Midnight Love is 7th, 8th is Coombs Ditch, and so an amazing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once again, history is made at the 1983 Cheltenham National Hunt Festival. The winner of the 56th running of the Tote Cheltenham Gold Cup is number 2, Brigorn, owned by Mr. J. Keneally, trained by Michael Dickinson, ridden by Graham Bradley. Second is number 4, Captain John, owned by Mr. F. Emami and Miss P. Montemidi, trained by Michael Dickinson and ridden by David Goulding. Third was number 11, Wayward Lad, owned by Mrs. S.N. Thulis, trained by Michael Dickinson and ridden by John Joe O'Neill. And fourth is number 10, Silver Buck, owned by Mrs. Christine Feather, trained by Michael Dickinson and ridden by Robert Earnshaw. And fifth, let me tell you, number 1, Ashley House, owned by Mr. Joe McLaughlin, trained by Michael Dickinson and ridden by Mr. Dermot Brown. What an amazing climax to the 1983 Gold Cup. Here is the winner, Brigorn, number 109 of the season for his young trainer, Michael Dickinson, and number 23 for his rider, Graham Bradley, who now goes to the top of the Ritz Club Charity Trophy as the only rider to have ridden a previous winner at the meeting.